Emily's Journey. Episode 4. Spring's Quiet Surprises. Welcome back, friends. Monica here again, ready to share what happened after the festival that brought a snowy town together. Emily didn't know it yet, but winter's cold was about to give way, not just to spring, but to some of the biggest changes she'd faced so far. The weeks after the festival felt different at school. There was a new energy in the halls. Laughter that seemed lighter, friendships that seemed stronger, and a feeling that anything was possible. It was as if Emily's story tree on the classroom wall had taken root in everyone's hearts. One morning, Emily arrived early to find Ethan waiting outside her classroom, his breath fogging in the chilly air. "Miss Emily, guess what?" he said, grinning wider than she'd ever seen. "I scored my first goal yesterday." She smiled back, genuinely delighted. "That's amazing, Ethan. I hope you cheered as loudly for yourself as I'm about to." He nodded, almost shyly. "And I think I made some real friends. Do you think maybe next year I could try out for the school team?" "Absolutely," Emily said. "You can do anything you decide to work toward. You're already braver than you know." That day, other students also seemed a little more willing to try new things. Maria signed up for the science fair, even though she was nervous about speaking in public. Twins Ben and Tommy, who usually bickered, joined the art club together. Emily could see the small, steady changes blooming in her classroom, like green shoots pushing through the last patches of snow. But outside of school, spring was slow to arrive. Emily found her evenings were still touched by loneliness, even as she grew closer to her students. She wrote emails to old friends, sometimes waiting days for a reply, and wondered what her next adventure might be. On a windy Saturday, she visited Mrs. Cooper again. The old woman sat by the window, wrapped in a quilt, watching sparrows flit among bare branches. "Spring is stubborn this year," Mrs. Cooper said. "But that's all right. Some of the best things take time." Emily shared stories from the festival, describing the music, the food, and the students' performances. Mrs. Cooper listened with a smile, her eyes crinkling at the edges. "You sound happier, Emily. I used to dream of being a writer when I was your age." Emily blinked in surprise. "Did you? Why didn't you?" "Oh, I tried," Mrs. Cooper replied. "But sometimes life is a little too busy or a little too hard. Still, I wrote for myself, poems, letters, even a diary." She patted Emily's hand. "It's never too late to start something new, or to begin again." The words stayed with Emily long after she left. That night, she dug out her old journal, the one she'd filled with ideas and stories during college, but had barely opened since starting work. Flipping through the pages, she realized how much she missed writing just for herself. She made herself a promise. Every week, she would write something, no matter how small. Not for school, not for anyone else, but just for the joy of it. Maybe, she thought, it was time to plant her own seeds of change. The next Monday, Emily introduced a new idea in her classroom: story buddies. Each student would be paired with someone from another grade to read stories, write letters, and share their favorite books. The idea was met with excitement and a little nervousness, but soon the room buzzed with talk about favorite fairy tales, mysteries, and heroes. Emily noticed that Lily, once so shy, now led her group with quiet confidence, while Ethan volunteered to help some of the younger students with their reading. As the days grew longer and the snow finally melted, Emily watched the children on the playground, some chasing soccer balls, others playing tag, some just sitting under the new green leaves and talking. The world felt bigger somehow, as if each small act of bravery had helped push back the boundaries of what was possible. One afternoon, As Emily packed up to go home, she found a note on her desk. It was from Mrs. Rivera, the principal. Dear Emily, I've noticed the changes in our school this year. The sense of community, the joy in learning, the way students support each other. Much of this is thanks to you. Would you consider leading a new project next semester, a community writing program for students and their families? Let's meet soon to talk more. Gratefully, Mrs. Rivera. Emily felt a thrill of nerves and excitement. It would be a big challenge, more responsibility, more work, but also a chance to help others find their voices, just as she was learning to find her own again. That evening, as dusk fell outside her window, Emily opened her journal and began to write about the day. She wrote about Ethan's goal, Lily's courage, Mrs. Cooper's quiet wisdom, and her own hope for the future. Her words tumbled out, honest and a little messy, but they made her smile. Just before bed, Emily stood by her window and looked out over the quiet, waking town. She wondered what the next season would bring. Maybe she'd find new friends, or learn something about herself she'd never expected. Maybe, with a little patience, the seeds she'd planted, both in her students and herself, would bloom in ways she couldn't yet imagine. And so, as spring crept in and the days grew bright and green, Emily's journey continued, full of new beginnings, small surprises, and the promise that every story is still unfolding. But what adventures and changes lie ahead? For now, dear friends, we'll have to wait and see. To be continued.